The fourth great difference between Islam and Judaism is, of course, and this is the most difficult one when it comes to dialogue, the acknowledgement of post-Old Testament prophecy. Orthodox Judaism does not accept that Jesus and Muhammad were authentic messengers of God. In fact, there are rites in Orthodox Judaism for the ritual cursing of both of these prophets. Recently in the West Bank settlement of Kiryat Arba, for instance, in occupied Palestine, the rabbis held a ritual cursing of the Prophet Muhammad, which was reported in the British press. And this is there in the Babylonian Talmud, and the formulas for it are established. Similarly, the Babylonian Talmud, in a lengthy passage, lists the alleged sexual perversions of Jesus and says that his punishment in the next life will be to be immersed forever in boiling excrement. Interestingly, though, the halakha, the Jewish law, differentiates between Jesus and Muhammad. Jesus is in fact regarded as a worse offender. The Talmudic commentators universally state that Jesus was executed justly by a properly constituted rabbinical court for his blasphemy. Medieval Judaism also held that the doctrines of Trinity and the Incarnation were monstrous compromises with the Old Testament ideal of the one single God. Hear, O Israel, thy Lord, thy God is one. Hence, for instance, we find, again in the halakha, the Jewish legal literature, the great Maimonides, the greatest exponent of Jewish law in the medieval period, saying that if a Jew fears persecution by Muslims, he can pretend to be a Muslim to escape that persecution. That's permissible. But if he fears persecution by Christians, he cannot pretend to be a Christian because Christianity is a compromise with monotheism, whereas Islam is not. Similarly, the halakha discussion of kosher wine also illustrates this point. The rabbis argue as to what one should do with a bottle of wine that one finds has been opened, and they conclude that if it has been handled by a Christian, it has to be poured away. If it's been handled by a Muslim, it can be sold, although it can't be consumed by Jews. And this is a consistent assumption that runs through medieval Jewish law, although obviously much of this has been reformed by contemporary Judaism, and this should not be regarded as some kind of judgment on Judaism as a religion, but it's there in the medieval texts. And I cite it to illustrate this distinction that Judaism traditionally made between Christianity and Islam.